Marshall, what was this morning like for you?
It was not terrible.
I'm in Utah in the American Southwest. I mean, look at this place. So I've wanted to come to the American Southwest for years and years and years. It's been at the top of my bucket list, and finally had time at the end of this year. It's November now, and we're here for about 3 weeks. So I've come over with my friend Hougaard from Cape Town, and we've met some friends here, Chris and Marshall and Sarah, who live in the area, and they're kind of showing us around, and we're just doing a road trip. What's really exciting for me is that we haven't really planned this at all. We just kind of picked a few places on a map, and we're just going to come out and see what the light's doing on any given day, and just shoot where we feel looks interesting. And it's been a long time since I've done anything like this, about 4 years, just gone to a place and just gone wherever we feel like shooting. So this is the first day we've been out here, and we're in the Utah Badlands. We're going to be staying in Hanksville tonight, and we're out at a place called Moon Overlook, which is a relatively well photographed place. It's just got this incredible view over all of the Badlands in front of us, and you've got these kind of cliffs that just drop dramatically into it. And it's mind-blowingly photographic. And the problem that you have here is that there simply is just so much to shoot. There's so much to see in every single direction that it's really, really hard to know where to start. So there's the classic shots that you can do here where people go and stand out on one of the buttes, and you do this sort of shot of them with those needles in the background. But there's much more to do here than that. I just find that this foreground here, these kind of rocks are really, really attractive. They make just really great foreground for wide angle images. It's actually about 2 hours before the sunset now, so it's not the best time of day for light, but the light's just really picking these out and giving them this really nice yellow glow. And then down at the bottom of the valley here, where the Badlands roll out, this kind of gray shale has got this really lovely blue luminous feel, and there's so much texture there. So I think after I finish doing this, I'm going to get the telephoto and do a few telephoto shots, because I just think there's some incredible lines and abstract shapes over here that the light's starting to pick out. But the first thing that attracted my eye, and the thing that I wanted to do most, was just the wide angle shots, the grand scenics of the landscape here, because I've just never seen landscapes like this. This is so far out of my experience. It is so utterly unique. Just this looks like another planet. They call it the Moon Overlook, and you can understand why. It's a kind of lunar landscape. So I really wanted to do just big scenics, just looking out with the foreground, looking out across the landscape. And I think now I'm going to have a play around and see what else there is to see here. We've got maybe an hour and a half before the sun goes down. You can see that on the western horizon, the cloud's pretty socked in there. So I don't think we're going to get much color or much direct light. But this is the kind of place that's just so impressive, it's going to work without that anyway. And then we'll see what we do tomorrow. Now, there are a couple of buttes off to the left that made really good focal points for wide angle shots, and the yellow sandstone slabs on the cliff top made a fantastic foreground to lead into the shot. I had an 8mm prime and a 60 to 80mm lens, and the best focal length was probably somewhere in between. This is something that I found out a lot during the trip. The 8mm was a little bit too wide and made the focal point feel a little bit too small, and the 60mm was a tiny bit too tight for the shots that I had in mind, although that did prove to be the best focal range for the classic shot with the figure standing on the outcrop of rock. But to be honest, I wasn't really satisfied with the flat light in any of these shots. The location were great, but the images just feel a little bit flat to me. It's the same with the abstracts that I shot with the drone. There's lots of texture, but I wasn't really able to get the mood that I wanted for the images. So because of the flat light, we decided to head back out for sunrise the following morning. The location looks right into the rising sun, which meant it was going to be best just before the sun actually came up, or we'd have the light right in the frame, which would give all kinds of problems with clipping highlights and with flare and things like that. In the end though, I think the light worked better, and I prefer the color palette of the cooler blues and the less strong yellows that we got in the morning. With the abstract shots, having light and shadow contrast also helped bring some depth to the scene. So that's it for this morning. We didn't really expect any clouds, but we got quite a nice sunrise after all. Came back to the same place that we were at last night, and just with this kind of early morning light, it's just totally different and absolutely magical. Really enjoyed that. It's been a lot of fun. But now what I really need is a cup of coffee. Sometimes you arrive at a place and there's so much potential there that it's almost overwhelming. This is the Bentonite Hills in the Utah Badlands. It's just these incredibly colorful hills here. You can just see there's these rolling mounds of color, all these wonderful smooth forms with reds and whites and purples and blues. It's just an incredibly photogenic spot. Now, it's quite challenging to get here. This is a place that we identified on Google Earth. We've been looking around, looking to try to find interesting looking locations, and it's a long drive over some very, very rough tracks. And when we got out the car, it was just really obvious that this place is special. So we've been kind of scouting the location for about an hour now. It's not really a very big location. It just goes back there, maybe half a kilometer. We've been walking around trying to find the spots which look like they're going to be have the most photographic potential. So you can see there's just nothing in the sky. We're not going to get a colorful sunset. There's no drama happening in the sky. Everything that's important here is in the colors of the landscape. But right now, with this low sun, with it being really bright, it's just bleaching all of the color out of the landscape, and it's really, really harsh contrast. So you've got brights and darks, and it's just kind of killing a lot of the mood of this place. But as soon as the sun dips down behind the horizon and we get into the blue hour, the light's going to really even out. So this flat, even light, and then the colors will really start to saturate because all of the contrasts will be gone. And that's when the place, I think, is going to be really, really magical. So what we're doing now is trying to find compositions, things that work. There's lots of kind of leading lines going up through these different valleys. And I think it's going to be a bit of a race against time because there's just so much to do here. And when it's like that, it can be a little bit intimidating because you've got this massive fear that you're going to miss something. But the reality is that you always miss something. There's always shots that you miss. No one goes home with all of the shots. So what I'm going to try to do now is just relax. I know that if I just get one image in the bag, then that's really enough. I mean, two would be nice, but one is enough. Because also this place is going to look incredible with the drone. If you get the drone up and do some top-down images with all of this this color and line, it's going to make really nice, intimate abstracts. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a race. I think we're probably going to have 20 minutes maximum to shoot. But really, it's moments like this that are just what it's all about. It's just so exciting. There's a buzz here. Everyone's really, really happy to be shooting. So let's see how it goes. This conical hill was a little taller than everything else in the landscape and made a really nice focal point, but as the light was still a little harsh, I used a telephoto lens to pick out this more abstract composition in the shadows with the line of the valley leading you through the frame. But as soon as the sun went down, we switched to capturing images of the mountain with the surrounding hills of color. A drone gave enough elevation to separate the layers and for the channels to work as leading lines. And then standing in the frame worked to give some scale to the landscape and work as a counter-focus point. Standing in the middle of all that color was absolutely surreal. It's just one of the most unique landscapes I've ever seen. Now, while there was still enough light to shoot by in the blue hour, we switched to doing abstracts with the drone, looking for interesting arrangements of color and shapes where the wash channels worked as leading lines through the landscape. These are the kind of images that you can get lost in. There's literally so many different compositions that the drone gives you. You can change so many different aspects, left, right, up, down, and then the rotation, and then moving higher or close to the landscape, or changing the angle of the gimbal to switch from straight down to giving an angle which provides more depth through all the different compositional choices that you have to make. Fortunately, the area wasn't too big, and we'd spent a battery scouting for compositions earlier when the light was harsh. We knew the shooting window of the blue hour would only be long enough for one battery before it got too dark to shoot. Again, before the sun went down, there was strong harsh light on the landscape, and those bright patches of light break the patterns. It looked much better in the blue hour when the light bounces off the atmosphere like a softbox, giving soft, even light. It doesn't last long. As it gets darker, there's no longer enough ambient light for the colors to be really visible. For such a small area, the variety of rock color was just incredible. One corner was all magentas and blues, another corner was red and white, and then another corner had grays and yellows. I shot so many images in the 20 minutes or so until it got too dark to shoot anymore, but it was an absolutely incredible evening. That's it for this video. I really hope it's been interesting. I've still got quite a few more videos to come from the trip. We really covered a lot of ground, both in the southwest and then in the forest of the Pacific Northwest. So stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed the video and you haven't subscribed, then please be my guest and subscribe. And if you like my photography and you like the way I shoot, I'd love to have you join me on a workshop. Pretty much all of the workshops for 2024 are sold out, but we're already opening workshops for 2025. You can find all the information on all the trips that I'll be doing on my website, but there's going to be trips to Namibia, to Patagonia. We're going to be coming back to Utah. There'll be Iceland. There'll be Greenland. So please check out the website for more information and drop me an email if you've got any questions. And as ever, good luck with your photography and all the best for the new year. Thanks for watching. See you next time.